Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey Jamie, how are you? My name is Dan Reeses, and there's no edits here. There is no anger. There's no entertainment. I do not ask anyone to subscribe. I don't ask for $1 for what I do. The reason why I say this is because it's very, very difficult to film this segment given the fact that I have made my final decision and I'm not going to let another day pass without taking immediate action on what's going on.
Yep.
And a lot of that has to do with the documentary that I just watched, and it was featuring Mariah Wilson. Mm-hmm. And what was the name of the documentary? And we didn't watch it today, we watched it over the weekend. It's a very difficult subject matter because essentially it is a young woman that's killed by another young woman, and within the first 5-10 minutes of the documentary you find out that you're looking at, and I hope I didn't ruin this for anyone, but because but essentially the reason why this channel is not designed for entertainment purposes is because this is not going to turn into a Netflix documentary. I just want everyone to understand that as far as that documentary is concerned, we all watched the same documentary. When you look at your opinions on this channel, we're all watching the same Dan Reeses. When you're looking at I'm sorry, can you grab me a drink? I'm so sorry. Jamie is not my slave. We just have a basic protocol for filming, and that's, for example, this hourglass is 15 minutes, and that's designed to keep the video short, concise, to the point, relevant, while still staying within the boundaries and the limitations. The issues that I'm talking about are very, very, very sensitive, and the more sensitive they are, the less anyone wants to take any responsibility for it. And one of the things that I want everyone to understand is that the entire story about Mariah Wilson, who was murdered, could have easily been avoided had people taken significant steps to admit the truth.
Yes.
And it wasn't until it was too late, and it wasn't until this woman passed away. And one of the reasons why it's a fascinating documentary is that many people are looking for answers. And please understand that I'm going to take a stab at what happened based on only the documentary. Now remember, there's also the other side. There's always two sides, but sometimes three. And there's always your side, the other person's side, and the truth, which is mathematically a combination of the both sides. Meaning that no matter, even if you feel you're 100% true, everything's on video, everything you can imagine, that documentary really goes into, wait a second, who is going to take responsibility for the explanation? Like, who's going to actually stand up? Because I felt like the motivation of the parents was very clear. They didn't look like they had a hard time financially. They looked like they were not only intelligent, they were successful in their business, and they really reminded me a lot of Linda and Jess Shapiro, who are very, very good human beings. I don't know how to say this.
Yeah,
they are so similar to the parents. It is so difficult to watch that documentary for me.
Sure.
Well, because unfortunately, they too suffered a very serious loss. And the circumstances were borderline identical, other than the fact, that, the foul play element is not always, for example, imagine if the same circumstances happened, but instead of being murdered, she tripped on the stairs with her bike cleats and fell and cracked her head open.
Okay.
Who is to blame after that? Is it her going to Texas, her bike riding?
What do you mean? What do you mean after that?
Meaning
if she was there and just fell down the stairs?
Yeah, just fell down the stairs. Same results. She passed away.
Okay.
Meaning that is a lot more common.
it's just an accident? I guess.
But that accident happened only in Austin.
Okay.
It didn't happen because like she had a ranch and she was not alone and things like that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's still the decisions to let that female, like one of the things that I'm going to express to everyone is when you're a dynamic, talented individual and you're a female who is traveling with a $10,000 bicycle alone around a country,
Yeah.
those are red flags as a parent.
Yeah.
See, I'm a father
You're right.
of
I didn't
two
think about
boys.
how much the
Yeah.
bike costs and all that.
You have to
Right.
understand that this woman had no handler or coach. She is a team of one in the world, not in cycling. She only could feel comfortable because she didn't have a support system. She lived in a world where people were okay with her taking a $10,000 bicycle and she was going to like St. Louis or something next. Louisville
she
or
had,
Mississippi
like,
or
another-
California, who gives a fuck? This woman was
traveling all
alone with a
over.
$10,000 bicycle. Honestly, the bike was probably like around 25, 30,000, custom made, and probably around 50,000 because Mariah Wilson's, who to me looked like she was like fucking Ty Cobb and Shawani Otani combined
Yeah.
in her category.
Yeah, right?
Like, I don't know if anyone's paying attention, but she would win races by hours. Not minutes, hours. Like,
Hours.
hours.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about a
True talent.
female who went from skiing to bike racing, not because of a choice, but because of 2 torn ACLs. I don't know if anyone understands this, but cycling requires a leg.
Yeah.
Okay? So, a human being who is capable of going from 2 torn ACLs to being the best bike racer in the country is much more special than you think.
Yeah.
It's not the bike racing that she was able to do. She was able to beat her own mind. And the issue is that when you have a once-in-a-lifetime talent and you allow that once-in-a-lifetime talent to blossom alone, things like this can happen. And the reason why I say this is because, mathematically speaking, there is no one to actually blame except the murderer. This is not, we are all adults. We are all adults. Someone needs to take the responsibility. This case, it is really good. The reason why I'm saying this is that when you get into the real world, not in Netflix documentary that was pre-selected out of thousands of cases, but in the real world, really good human beings like her parents experience the loss of a child through accidental means where there isn't closure.
Yeah.
The real problem is that the majority of people lose their children and realize that their negligence lies within the decisions that they made for a lifetime of a relationship.
Right.
And they don't have the ability for closure.
They don't.
And that's what the worst is.
Yeah.
That's what people don't understand.
That's the torture.
When there is no Netflix documentary, when you don't have the prosecutor's office on your side, and you don't have the ability, because
Yeah.
believe it or not,
You're right.
only the good die young.
Yeah.
So essentially, what I'm trying to explain to everyone is we are not going to turn this into a Netflix documentary. I don't care what anyone thinks of me. I do love my current wife, Mal. I want only the best for her. I am beyond scared, like, of either something bad happening or something being too late, and I'm gonna give it 24 hours. And I've decided that I'm gonna ask you to leave the home, and I'm gonna film one video, and I'm gonna end it with one other video. And the real question is, like, do I want to be in a position where I said to God forbid something happens, and I would have to live the rest of my life. And I know it's selfish, and that's the whole point of this video is, in order to sometimes make a change, you have to be selfish if you're a selfless person. Because if you're a selfless person, by continuing to be selfless, you actually are selfish. Meaning that it doesn't take much for me to save a person or help a person. It takes a lot for me to be a selfish motherfucker. That is what is required for me to really help my boys and my wife. I know this is not her. I know she is a good person. I know this. I know for a fact. I know that this woman, Caitlin, as a yoga instructor doesn't kill a woman for no reason. The issue is that, genetically speaking, we are all capable of some very sinister stuff. But when your brain is so deeply affected by the algorithm, a singularity, a system that is designed for you to identify your own world. In the context of the documentary, always remember that I can only speak on what I saw the same way as everyone else saw. You ready?
Yes.
All right, I got about 5 minutes. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a chance to see this documentary, please do so. And you will understand one very important element. During the course of the documentary, there's one human being who identifies that post-murder, this is my world. And this human being says, I've shrunk my world so that it is small and manageable. And what the audience subconsciously starts to realize is that the person who did the murder, their entire world was taken from them by Mariah. Because there's nothing that can ever outshine a true star like her. And for parents and a support system to leave her unattended in a very, very hostile context is not only negligent, it's borderline telling. It is a self-fulfilled prophecy. Within the context, you must understand that a human being who is in a state of pain and confusion, if triggered to a point, meaning that you must understand that this is not me blaming the algorithm or the singularity. This is me expressing that in the context of reality, when you have really good-looking white people being the subject matter of a documentary, and it is top 10 in the country, and you look at the subject and you say to yourself, if this person was not dead, nobody would even give a fuck about the cycling record. You need to be scared shitless. Because just like Kyle Rittenhouse, until this documentary came out, you did not understand that we as a society cannot turn a blind eye to the violent nature that can be triggered within the context of a conflict. We are extremely incapable right now of resolving our conflicts orally because of text messages and because of the lack of communication that was created in a post-COVID, face mask wearing, inability to communicate world. It is beyond scary that I truly believe that these two women who are well balanced and centered would never ever kill if they were able to communicate. But because they were young and they were children that grew up in a world where human beings text message their feelings, they put their communications in text form. And a lot of people can't put certain things in writing. They need to say it privately. And we don't live in that type of world, so everything blew up in their faces because in actuality, in a real digital world, both Caitlin and Mariah know that everything they're doing will go public.
Yeah.
And they didn't really acknowledge that the cycling community, one of the reasons why it thrives is because the cycling community has always been selfish. To be a bicyclist, you have to be a very selfish individual. You're by yourself. Like, I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm just saying, unless you're in a tandem bike, like you're literally by yourself.
Yeah.
The entire activity is designed for you to isolate yourself. You could have a group of cyclists, you're still by yourself. And
That's true.
on that note, I'm going to send it off. I'm going to take a little bit of a break. I want to tell everyone I really love them. And it might take a couple of videos, and that's why it's a count up, not a countdown. But it's not the final countdown. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dan Rhesus. Smile, you're alive. And I assure you, it is far better than you think. Take a deep breath, relax, and please enjoy the show.